guys, welcome back to my kitchen. So today's video I'm going to be making a vegan chicken and vegetable crumble. This has gone down a treat. I've made it several times and whenever I post about it people always ask questions. So I've got all the ingredients here, don't be too overwhelmed. I've basically got the crumble here and then just whatever veg you want really. So for the crumble you need 200 grams of plain flour, a handful of oats, handful of seeds and 100 grams of butter. This is plant-based butter by Flora. Then for the sauce you're going to need some more of this butter. What else we got? More flour, some stock, I just use stock cube, a handful of cheese, so I'm using this BioLife grated cheese. I find this one's really nice because it's not too strong, it's not overpowering. Some garlic and that is it. Oh, and some salt. So I've just written it down on here. And as for the veg, you just basically need 600 grams of whatever veg you want. So I've got some peas, some sweet corn. This is the vegan chicken I'm using. It's Naked Glory in the roast flavour. It's really, really nice. Some leeks, some peppers, courgette, tomatoes, parsnips, sprouts, onions, mushrooms. Yeah, I think that's but like I said, you can use whatever veg you like. If there's something on here that you don't like, then just leave it out. Like I said, you do need about 600 grams, but if you're anything like me, then you kind of go a bit overboard, but that's alright. If you do add a bit too much in, then when it comes to baking it, we just put it on a baking tray so that any overflow of the sauce, it'll catch it, else you'll end up having a very messy cooker. So if you want to know how I turn this into this, then please keep watching. So step one is to prepare the veg. Now I am doing the frozen first. I'm just weighing them out, about 50 grams each. I do this first just so I can get all of them back in the freezer. So here I am adding the sprouts and the peppers, then the leek, the sweet corn, and finally the peas. Now to prepare all of our other veggies. So I just started with the mushrooms. Here I am just taking the outer skin off and I also popped the little stalk out. You can leave this on if you want to, but I just preferred to take it off. They were a little dirty and I find them hard to clean, so this is just an easier way for me. Now with the parsnip I am just halving it and then quartering it. I add it straight into the scales so I know how much I need. Then I'm just top and tailing this carrot, it did shoot everywhere. And then I am just taking off part of the skin. I do normally leave the skins on because there is a lot of nutrients just under the skin, so I try and leave as much on, and if you clean them beforehand, and there's no reason really to take it off. So again I'm doing the same, just halving it and then quartering it and chucking it in the scales. And exactly the same with the courgette. You do want all of these pieces to be near enough the same size, that way they will cook evenly. So I left the onion until last just in case it brought me to tears, and I did only need half of this one. And finally I'm just cutting up this clove of garlic ready for the sauce. So step number 2 is to make the crumble. So we're adding the 200 grams of flour, 100 grams of butter. I cubed this before adding it in because I just find it easier. And then what I'm doing here is I'm just doing the breadcrumb method, so just rubbing it between my fingers until I get a breadcrumb consistency. Then I'm just adding in a handful of oats and 50 grams of the cheese. And I'm just checking in about a handful of seeds. And I'm just mixing that together, and then we will set that aside for later. Step number 3 is to make the sauce. So I'm just putting the hob onto a medium heat. I'm adding in 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm just going to let that melt until it starts to bubble. Now I'm just adding the clove of garlic, and this is one of the reasons why you only want it on a medium heat, because you don't want the garlic to burn. So I left this in here for about 30 seconds, or just until you can smell the aroma. Then I'm adding 2 tablespoons of flour, and you want to just mix this until it gets to a thick consistency. Now I'm just adding in the stock, and as you can see, I continue to whisk. You do not want to stop whisking at this point, else your sauce will turn really lumpy. So the way I do my stock is I add the water, and then I just crumble in the stock cube afterwards. This just saves either boiling the kettle or letting the water run, but if you prefer to dissolve it and then add it, that's down to you. So I just left this for a couple of minutes until it started to simmer, and then I added in a handful of cheese. And you're just going to leave this again just for a couple of minutes until the cheese starts to melt. Once that is all melted, just go ahead and chuck in all of your veggies. I was quite happy at this point because normally the veg goes all over the hob, and it didn't for a change. Now I'm adding in 200 grams of the vegan chicken, and I'm just giving that a stir to make sure everything is coated in the sauce. And then we're just going to leave this for about 15 minutes, or until all your veggies have started to soften. Step number 4 is to prepare for the oven. So as you can see here, I've just got a oven-proof dish and a baking tray underneath in case of spillage. So I'm just dishing this out, trying to make it evenly distributed. I'm surprised that the steam didn't fog up my camera, but we were alright. And then I'm just adding on the crumble. I tend to just put it in the center and then spread it out to the side, just so I don't get too much spillage. I do like to get it as close to the edge as possible, just because that's where you're going to have leakage. For some reason this time this crumble just seemed to be quite a lot, but I just added it because I'd already made it. Now we're just adding it into the oven at 200 degrees for about 30 to 40 minutes, or until you have a nice golden top. And here is the final product. So depending on how you like your portions, this will serve between 2 to 4 people. Now, as you can see from this next photo, dishing it up can be a little messy, so if you have individual pie dishes, I would highly recommend you use them. And thank you for watching.